So today we're going to talk about one of the most powerful financial institutions in the world, the Bank of England. Now, you probably think of it as this, rock solid, trustworthy place, but its real origin story? Oh, it's way more dramatic. We're talking war, a government on the brink of collapse, and a crazy, controversial idea that completely changed how money works forever. And it all really boils down to this one question. What on earth does a naval war from over 300 years ago have to do with the money sitting in your bank account right now? Well, it turns out pretty much everything. And the answer is basically the blueprint for all of modern banking.
To really get this, we have to rewind the clock way back to a time when the country was in some serious trouble.
Okay, so picture this. It's the 1690s. England is getting absolutely hammered by France in a nasty conflict called the 9 Years' War. They've just suffered this humiliating defeat at sea, and the government is desperate to rebuild the Royal Navy. Just one tiny problem. They were flat broke. Totally tapped out. And their credit was so shot nobody, and I mean nobody, was willing to lend them a dime. This was the magic number. £1.2 million. That's what stood between England and total defeat. It's what they had to borrow to get the fleet back in the water and have a fighting chance. And back then, that was an absolutely mind-boggling amount of money. There was just no way they could raise that kind of cash through normal taxes or loans. So with the whole country basically on the ropes, someone comes up with this wild idea. It was part financial genius and, let's be honest, part total desperation. And the deal they struck was, well, it was a game changer. A group of wealthy private investors went to the government and said, look, we'll give you the whole £1.2 million you need at 8% interest. In return for bailing out the entire country, this private company would get a royal charter and a very fancy new name, the Governor and Company of the Bank of England. It would be the government's official bank. The deal got done, the money was raised in less than 2 weeks, and just like that, modern central banking was born. And you can draw a straight line from that decision in 1694 to some of the biggest financial earthquakes in history. The system they created right then and there, it would be put to the test again and again, especially during huge crises like the Great Depression and the 2008 meltdown. The DNA of our modern financial world was literally forged in that moment. But how did this new bank actually pull it off? What was the magic trick that made it all possible? Well, let's pop the hood and take a look at the engine. The secret sauce has a name, and it's called fractional reserve banking. The concept itself is pretty simple, but whoa, the effects are massive. See, instead of keeping every single dollar you deposit locked up in a vault, the bank only holds on to a small piece of it, a fraction or a reserve, for people making withdrawals, and the rest of it, they lend it out. Let's just walk through a quick example. Let's say you deposit £100 in the bank. The bank thinks, okay, we'll keep £10 here just in case. It then lends the other £90 to, your neighbor who wants to buy a new bike. Your neighbor pays the bike shop owner, who then takes that £90 and deposits it in their bank. So stop and think about what just happened. Your bank statement says you have £100, the bike shop owner's statement says they have £90, and just like that, poof, there's more money in the system than there was before.
And this is where it gets really interesting and kind of controversial. The economist Murray Rothbard had a very blunt way of putting it. He said the system creates money out of thin air. It's such a powerful line because it perfectly captures both the genius and the deep suspicion surrounding this whole model. And that quote right there, it cuts straight to the heart of debate that's been raging for hundreds of years. Is this system a brilliant engine for economic prosperity? Or is it all built on one giant, fundamental lie? So here's the philosophical split, right? On one hand, you have folks like Michael Rozef who argue, hey, this is just a contract. You, the depositor, you know the deal. You give the bank your money, you know they're going to use it, and you accept that small risk in exchange for, earning interest and the convenience of banking. But then you've got the other side, critics like Rothbard, who say it's an impossible promise. The bank tells you your money's available anytime you want it, but we just saw, it's not. Most of it has been lent out. If everyone got spooked and ran to the bank at the same time to get their cash out, the whole thing would collapse. From their point of view, it's basically fraudulent from the get-go. And this whole tension, this nervousness, it's perfectly summed up in the bank's famous nickname. It actually comes from this old political cartoon from 1797. It showed the bank as an old woman, the old lady of Threadneedle Street, being taken advantage of by the prime minister. It just goes to show you that people were already worried about this powerful new institution and its cozy relationship with politicians, even back then. Okay, so let's fast forward. That little bank born out of a war is now an absolute behemoth at the very center of the global economy, and it connects directly to you and your money in ways you might not even realize. You want to get a sense of just how big it is now? Get this. The Bank of England settles £500 billion in payments between other banks every single day. That's 500 billion. It's the ultimate financial traffic cop. And it's not just about digital ones and zeros. Oh no. Deep down in the vaults, the bank holds over 5,000 tons of gold. And a lot of that isn't even for the UK. It's basically a super secure storage locker for about 30 other countries' gold reserves. And this all brings us right back to that fundamental argument. See, this isn't some dusty old historical debate, right? This is about you, today. When you put your hard-earned money in the bank, what right do you have to know what happens next? Where does it go? What kind of risks are they taking with it? Well, one of the modern solutions being kicked around is this idea called individual portfolio transparency. Sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Your bank would have to tell you exactly where your slice of the pie, your deposits, is being invested. It would completely change the relationship, making banks answer directly to you for the choices they make. So we end up right back where we started, with a question. A question that was born in a moment of crisis over 300 years ago, but feels more important than ever. After all this, do you think banks should be forced to tell you exactly what they're doing with your money? It's definitely something to chew on the next time you check your balance.